So I know that some of you guys have heard this thing like already a couple of times. Sorry for this, but like whoever wants to just stand up and leave like because you've heard this already, please do. But like it's not going to be a bad thing, whatever. But for those who haven't heard this, there is this paper about Bitcoin pipes we have put together like whatever, about a month ago at this point. Like since then, we kind of just ran around for reviews, for feedback, for everything. I mean, if people have something to say about it. And so what's the point of that is that, apparently we can pull off, like covenants on Bitcoin. We can emulate them without the necessity for a soft fork via, pulling off predicates for functional encryption. So that's like the thing. Oh, Louis, I was waiting for him. Dad? I was waiting for you, dude, where you were.
I'm so sorry, but there's a
So, all right, now everybody's in there. Now everybody's here. So, all right, apparently you can do this. So yeah, like what's the problem? Like how this whole thing like kind of started? Right, we kind of put together this, provable stack for over the last like 8 years, and I was like, okay, well, how can we make it applicable to Bitcoin? You can't really verify anything in there. I mean, you can't verify ZKPs or anything. You don't have covenants. You don't have like opcodes, opcat, opmule. Just forget it. Never gonna happen. Like missing opcodes, opstark verify. Dude, I mean, come on. At this point, opstark verify. That was a good idea. That was a good proposal. Unfortunately, well, I can't see like whatever. ZKP verify also. Block size also limits us from like kind of putting in large proofs in there for like just verification, straightforward verification. So yes, I know block size works within there. Like forget it. I'm not pushing anything in there. So protocol upgrades, as I said, forget it. Verification methods. In fact, yes, you can pull off some verification with BitVM. Sure, it's going to work. Interactive, somewhat optimistic. You can try to pull off the soft fork if you really want to, like, if you like hunt down every single miner in the world and like, kind of point a gun at them or like make them upgrade. And maybe after that they will upgrade, but like, feel free, like, good luck. So what to do? How do you verify ZKPs on Bitcoin? So you can try to emulate these covenants because like, what the hell covenant is? I mean, basically, it's whatever. You gotta put like some additional conditions on what kind of transaction and like if the transaction can go through into the protocol commit log. So that means, kind of how you can spend your Bitcoin of like whatever. So in the end of the day, emulating that, the closest way to achieving that is to kind of try to, well, what's another way to do that? Like usually how people do this, they use pre-signed transactions, or like they encrypt these pre-signed transactions and try to decrypt them like after some conditions is met. Like the oldest trick in the book. Like what if you, in the end of the day, what if you don't decrypt anything? Like if you, for example, like encrypt the key and you never decrypt it, so you kind of try to get that thing signed without decrypting actually the key. So sounds something like FHE, but like not really, because with FHE, in the end of the day, you will result with decrypting the private key anyway. So how do you not decrypt it? Well, there is this like semi-forgotten notion. There is this like semi-forgotten field, like or area, like functional encryption. Not like semi-forgotten, just underdeveloped, right? But and the nuance with that is like the idea in there is that you can basically get the ciphertext. You can like define some functionality you want to like execute over the ciphertext during decryption. Kind of like a functor, like a lambda closure, if you want to call it that way, like an analog. So, and in the end of the day, you result with kind of executing some computation over the encrypted data without actually decrypting the data and getting as an output only something which is kind of the result of this computation. So, and like formally speaking, you can emulate the covenant with it. Because you can encrypt the private key, cool, kind of inscribe the ciphertext just to store it like somewhere in Bitcoin ordinal style. I know, guys, you're gonna tell me that I'm like spamming Bitcoin again. Like, sorry, I'm not. But you can not inscribe it. You can store it whatever you want. But anyway, so generate all the decryption keys which are relevant to like functionalities you want to execute over the ciphertext, and then whatever, like perform these computations. Basically, put generate the ZK proof for them, put the ZK proof into the decryption functionality, and if basically the verification within this decryption functionality happens correctly, cool, get your Schnorr signature over the data you've put as an input in there. So theoretically, that's the framework, that's the blueprint, right? How in particular this could work? Because let's be honest, functional encryption, general purpose functional encryption is not practical. It's underdeveloped, really underdeveloped. So that's the overall I don't know, workflow, whatever, just what I described. So now we're gonna get to a little bit of whiteboarding, right? Let's go for it. If you want to see anything, please come closer.
Go grab the microphone.
Wait.
Oh, grab the handheld microphone, I'd recommend.
This one?
Yeah.
All right. So can I just
turn it on?
That works. So what's the problem with general purpose of feed, right? How usually it's being done? Usually what you get is you define some function which gets you from one thing to another, and this little f which you have is defined as some kind of circuit, which is whatever, general purpose circuit, right? So in the end of the day, what's the problem with this is that if you encrypt the private key, you got to make sure that it doesn't leak. So if it doesn't leak, if you want it to not to leak, then you gotta somehow either hide it within the circuit, which means you gotta do indistinguishable obfuscation. So what does that mean? It means that you gotta define this circuit the way. So brute forcing through all the possible options, for input and for the output, would be easier than to try to figure out what's hidden inside. Than to try to kind of figure out what the hell this circuit is about. So this approach, there are if schemes which implement that. Those don't work, right? They work, but it's not practical. It takes you several days, to just do one round of AS, and it's not really secure because those are multilinear maps based. Multilinear maps, no matter how hard Dan Bennett tries to convince everybody that he fixed them, well, he did not. Sorry. So that's what it is, and. What to do? It's again, there are functional encryption schemes which implement some kind of function hiding properties, but over a very particular functionality, over a very particular function which defines not just general purpose circuit, so you could basically define whatever, but some particular functionality which is some multiplication, whatever, let's say, right, for simplicity. This way. So just the multiplication. And if you do just the multiplication, you can keep the basically whatever ciphertext hidden, whatever. I don't know how to denounce that. Whatever, hidden, just hidden. And you can also keep basically all the data you try to operate over hidden as well. The problem is the functionality is limited. So what to do? It's again, what if it's what in particular this the family of these functional encryption schemes. It's usually pairing based, billionaire pairing based ones, and those are which are the most functional ones are DPVS based, double pairing vector spaces based. So they achieve the function hiding property by basically decomposing the ciphertext and the decryption key to two bi-orthogonal vector spaces. So you can't really figure out what the hell in there until you multiply them. And once you multiply them, well, you got the result. You still didn't figure out what the hell is in there. So that it's the way they keep the function hiding property. So, what if, in the end of the day, you can stretch a little bit this functionality you can do over the PVS framework and basically try to compute something more complex than just the linear functions effectively, because pairing is just whatever. You can embed some linear functions in there, just do different multipliers like Z, A, B, C, whatever, any amount of them. At the end of the day, it's gonna all become just a linear operation, one linear operation, whatever, nobody cares. So what if you can stretch a little bit these things, like this functionality, and try to make it work over a little bit wider set of polynomials, right? So there are attempts to do this as well. Pretty recent one, actually, like 2020, 2022, the paper of 2020, 2022. So there are attempts to make, and like, even the results on how to make like QFE schemes, function hiding QFE schemes, which support not just linear equations, but they support quadratic equations. Should be enough for a certain type of computation. Definitely not for everything. I mean, like it's still not a generic purpose of E. So what can you fit in here? Can you fit what we need from that? And basically what we need to emulate the covenant-like functionality is we need to emulate the signature, like it's Schnorr signature, right? Why Schnorr signature? We'll come to that later. And we want to since we can't put a lot into quadratic equations, we can't put it in there. We gotta emulate, and we gotta put in there the verification most probably of a ZK proof, which would be generic enough for you to be able to pre-compute something, generate a proof of that, verify that. If the verification is correct, you get the signature. Cool. So can you? And the answer is apparently you can. I mean, apparently you can arithmeticize Schnorr signature the way. So you could emulate the non-native arithmetics over BLS or any pairing-based curve. So bit decomposition and trick, and so basically decomposing the whole Schnorr signature signing process. What is it like? A hash, a couple of additions, exponentiation, and one multiplication, right? As far as I remember. So can you decompose that to non-native arithmetics operations over pairing-based curves? Yes, you can. I mean, bit decomposition style, R1CS bit decomposition style. Not really, but similar way. So another question is that what kind of proof system can you prepend to this Schnorr signature, to Schnorr signing, so it could fit the DPVS framework? So it could still be pairing-based one. I mean, sure, it's some kind of IPA-based one. It's for sure not a hash-based one, unfortunately. I mean, I'd love that because placeholder is the proof system I designed back in nil is hash-based one by default, but it's pairing-based one. Pairing-based one should fit. I mean, instantaneate KZG-based proof system with Blankish arithmetization over BLS curve, you can fit the verification of it into it's you can express verification of it through QFE. So, I mean, again, R1CS style, people have expressed this, people have wrapped the verification of different proof systems in graph. They've done it once, just do a little bit of a reverse process, doable. So in the end of the day, what we result with basically Schnorr, QFE arithmeticized process of Schnorr signature generation over non-native arithmetics, emulating SecP curve arithmetics over a pairing-based curve, multiplied with some IPA-based proof system verification, also embedded natively into pairing-based curves, and kind of, you can't decompose it to QFE in the end of the day because it's all pairings. So you result with this. And in the end of the day, if you don't get the verification correct, and it's basically zero, then you get no Schnorr signature out of it. So this way you could kind of emulate generic purpose predicates. Emulate, it's not the general purpose predicates, for sure not. But you can emulate that for this particular purpose, for emulating covenants. And it depends on which circuit you define in here. That kind of particular covenant functionality you can result with. Right now, it's pretty obvious that we can do stateless covenants with this. I mean, we can do, well, guys, you're going to hate me, concatenation, we can do this. That's for sure. We can do CTV with this. That's for sure. We can do, again, anything which comes up to mind, which is stateless, which doesn't require introspecting Bitcoin L1 state. This you can do. Can you do stateful covenants with this? Well, you gotta prove the state inclusion, sum of something. You can define a circuit of it, probably, but it's a different conversation, right? How can you do stateful covenants with this? Stateless, right away out of the box. Stateful, I don't know. So that's the overall process, how it is kind of practical. So in terms of performance and everything, so I mean, there are different methods of trying to enforce those covenants that are whatever. Even okay, well, since Louis isn't here, like you want to talk about like practicality of hash collision-based covenants. So because there are also questions about practicality in terms of like performance for FE-based covenants, and it's not going to be seconds like per each spend. It may be not going to be even like minutes per each spend. I mean, it's like we do like, I don't know, if we do less than an hour, like we're good already. Like we're already like, you know, like that's a win. So that's what it is. But in the end of the day, like, I mean, come on, arithmetizing like Schnorr signature, even hash arithmetization in there is going to take like 60,000 plus equations. So you will result with like basically this matrix containing like 65K plus equations in here just for the hash. Like exponentiation is going to be also rough because it's because what the hell is this? Whatever. So arithmetization, exponentiation is also going to be like rough because you would be required to emulate non-native arithmetics, non-native SecP arithmetics over BLS. So that's also going to take something like not less. So in the end of the day, you will result with like just two big ass matrices requiring to do a lot of pairings like with each element of theirs. But you know, doable. I mean, it's like doable. Doable. Yeah, I mean, it's like we're just working on the implementation, so it's like I can't really say like the benchmarks or something because we just don't know. It's just like theory, and we're like working on implementation. That's it. So that's like I guess what it is, and like let's go with like Q&A or something because I kind of apparently skipped half of the thing. So like just do it.
Questions? Where did I put the microphone? Right there, yeah.
Yeah, it's in bar.
If you want to ask a question, get Fred to hand you the microphone.
Oops.
Who wants it?
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, yeah, I mean.
I'm very dumb. So at the very starting point is, so can you sort of explain the intuition about why this FHE algorithm, I mean, how it works? Because I didn't get the intuition, and I just sort of why it works and how it's like fits together, because I honestly didn't capture the reason. Yeah, like the intuition, I don't need the math, like just like,
Okay,
like
so like high level picture.
Yes.
Let's go again, high level picture. So high level picture is like we do understand how do we get, for example, like inner product from like whatever pairing based FE scheme. So you can only like compute inner product over ciphertext, right? So that's like what it is. It's a limited functionality. I mean, you can't get anything else from like ciphertext. The trick in here is how do we extend that? How do we extend it? How do we get a little bit more than just inner product over the ciphertext? So like low and like high level picture, how do we get inner product is before we go to decrypting something, we split the setup, the whole setup, like with ciphertext, the decryption key and everything to basically two bi-orthogonal vector spaces. And we just do like a lot of pairings with it. It's like with each of the elements. So in the end of the day, you result with just computing just the inner product. Cool. Can you do a little bit more? Yes, you can. If you turn this from just kind of linear equations expressed inner product to quadratic equations expressed like QFE basically. QFE attempts, like we did some attempts. There was whatever entity labs results in QFE. So you can express some computations which are possible to be done, which are possible to be arithmetized like in quadratic equations within this predicate, right? So the question is then, can you arithmetize like the Schnorr signature or like the IPA-based persistent verification in this set of like basically just QFE, like basically equations, right? Can you arithmetize that in there like R1CS style? Yeah, the answer is you apparently can. So, and this what gets you to emulate general purpose covenants.
So I mean, another question, because I mean, I have to admit, it doesn't really help me because what I don't understand. So like, assuming, I'm going to assume the FHE works, like there is some form of FHE that works, but how does it relate to the state of Bitcoin? How do I get, how do I constrain the covenant? That's the whole point. I just don't understand how anything can relate.
I see. Okay, so like, how does that relate to Bitcoin at all?
Yes, I mean, how do
Basically-
I condition basically my covenant?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, what makes this a covenant is the embedding of the Schnorr signature generation within this predicate. So that's like basically what makes it relevant to Bitcoin. In fact, so only the fact that you generate a Schnorr signature instead of just inner product, you generate a valid Schnorr signature as an output, gets you basically this thing to be relevant to Bitcoin.
Can you say that again, the microphone? Yes.
Yeah, this way. Let's do it this way. So just the fact that you generate the Schnorr signature instead of inner product as an output of the predicate execution makes this thing relevant to Bitcoin. Because
So, okay, so basically I'm doing a trusted setup. So I'm hiding some keys.
Yes.
And now I do some operation, like general purpose operation, which inside this FHE.
FE. Just
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
FE,
like,
not
so,
FHE, FE.
Yeah. So if you're trying to understand high level, so you have this trade set up. So I'm going to hide this key,
Yes.
which is going to serve as confidence.
Yes.
Okay. So this key is hidden forever.
Yes.
Everyone burned the key, whatever. It's
Yes.
hidden there. Okay, great. So now what you're saying is that you have a method, which I didn't understand the mechanism, but that's mostly relevant if I think about it as a black box, which says I'm going to operate some verification, some set of compute inside this black box, and the output is going to be a neutral signature that enforces some requirement on the like it would enforce some requirements on the message being signed.
It's like you either get the signature of that message, either you don't. And like the condition of it's like the condition enforcement or like some spending condition enforcement happens not unlike on Bitcoin and one like inside Bitcoin script, like outside of it. And like if it's satisfied, you get the signature for whatever data you've put in there, like which is the transaction. So if it's not satisfied, you just get nothing.
Okay. So let's assume that, for instance, this computation is, let's say, a snark, whatever. Let's say it's a snark. So I can enforce, obviously, arbitrary program because it's general purpose verification environment. So what you're saying is that you have a method that, assuming some hidden private keys, if that is trusted setup, can run a start verification inside that protocol and output a signature that's a valid signature on a message that is produced by this black box.
Yeah. I mean, it's like.
So how is that not general purpose FHE?
It's FE, not the FHE.
FE, sorry.
Yes. How is that not a general purpose FE? It's not general purpose FE because I mean you still can't do general purpose predicates in there because it's not circuit-based FE. It's the extension, it's the stretch from inner product encryption, which usually results you with only one functionality over the ciphertext. Inner product, that's it. Nothing else you can get. So
there is one. Okay, so it's not general purpose. So I can just do inner product. So what can I enforce as predicate if I only can do inner product?
Here go. It's like now you can't really enforce a lot because like you can't express Schnorr signature within like linear equations. So this means you can't really compute it. Like you can't really make this inner product to be a valid Schnorr signature. But it's like you can stretch this a little bit to become QFE. It's like
Q stand for?
It's like a quadratic functional encryption for quadratic functions. So it's a little bit larger, a little bit wider class, cool. And the question is, can you embed the Schnorr signature into this class of functions? Can you express that? And like, can you make it like, a valid Schnorr signature? So the claim is you can.
So if I recompose, basically you are hidden private key, burned for the word.
Yes.
I can put some very limited compute, which is like here, a short signature.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be able to extract a new signature from that from that system that is valid based on the private key. So no one knows the private key, but I extract some signature. So I do not see how that's confident because it doesn't enforce any predicate on the message.
Yeah. I mean, like, just, you know, it's like screw some proof system verification before the Schnorr signature. We're talking just about the Schnorr signature predicate right now. Like,
right.
Screw that.
So I'm just allowing to sign the message without knowing the private key.
On your behalf without revealing the private key. Yes.
So okay. So how is that just not something similar to like blind signatures? So why is it not a blind signature system? For those who don't know what's a blind signature, is that I'm signing, you're giving me something, I'm signing it, but I don't know what I'm signing. So how is it not a blind signature, which is not governed?
Well, it's like for blind signatures, you gotta set up like the whole scheme. It's not. It's interactive.
Right.
So this case is not interactive.
In terms of black boxes.
Yeah.
How does that condition any next pending condition? I do not see. I can imagine. Okay, I can imagine as a blind signature scheme, like a form of blind signatures. I just don't understand how it predicates.
Okay.
It conditions the pending condition.
Okay. How it can be conditioned? It's like the condition comes in when you put in the proof system verification. Like again, embedded into QFE, expressed by a QFE before the before the Schnorr signature generation.
Still unclear, but I don't know if you have more questions. Like I'm not going to take all the mic.
I mean, we can go through that. I'm down. Yeah, let's go. I'm down.
Okay.
Okay, so my question, thank you so much for the presentation. So how would it affect the transaction fee? Would it reduce or add on to the user? Second question, like, what is your kind of like process or thinking in terms of the processing times? Like, how would you handle like network congestion like in the future?
I see. Well, it's like regarding the user fees and everything. I mean, it's like there is this nuance that this kind of method it either gets you the signature of the transaction you wanted to put in or not. So like whatever the transaction you formed, this is exactly what you're going to pay for it. So it's like it's on you to like kind of you put the transaction to one like whatever you define that inside the transaction, that's what you're going to pay for. So formally speaking, the added cost of this thing is, well, it's just a signature verification, right? It's not really an added cost. So that's like the thing.
Zero costs for us?
Well, it's just a transaction. Yeah, I mean, you get the transaction signature. That's it. There is no like added cost on this thing. Like the downside is that you can't really understand which transaction came from like a pipe and which transaction came from like an actual user, because it's all going to be like from Bitcoin on one kind of, it's going to be the same perspective. It's going to be the same thing. I mean, like just a transaction. That's it. So that's like the downside of this. I mean, that's the first thing. The second thing, the second question of yours was more about like, you know, how can this, I mean, kind of, you know, increase throughput and something. I mean, let's say it this way. I mean, it's like it can be used as the way to verify like ZKPs on Bitcoin. So like whoever does the ZK rollup, whoever does the L2 for Bitcoin, that's their job to like kind of scale this up. And this mechanism is basically just to make sure that, you know, these L2s, these like rollups, the side chains, whatever, become like actually secure and become actually verifiable, and not just, you know, kind of optimistic or something like, hey, we're gonna slash somebody or whatever. No. So that's like just a verification method, I would say, for them. So it's actually like L2s, rollups, side chains, whatever's job to scale this up, I guess. I mean, I'm not claiming here to like, you know, increase the throughput of Bitcoin. So like, there is no claim like this in here.
Misha, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap it up there.
Okay.